So as we look at this, understand these people are going to be pushing this whole second wave thing. There's going to be a second wave of lies coming out of the CDC, coming out of Fauci and Birx's mouth, supported by President Trump and the WHO. They're all going to be lying to you about a second wave. So it's important to understand as we look at the research coming out of South Korea. They said, look, we saw looked like some people got sick again. We tested it, and it's like, no, it's not coronavirus. And the WHO is wrong, but the WHO is going to persist in that lie. Denmark says coronavirus spread has not accelerated since reopening began, reports Reuters. But what is happening in America, in various states? On Breitbart, Nolte is writing from North Carolina. He said, they told us lockdowns are about flattening the curve. They lied. And now we know we were suckers. Now we know the politicians lied to us. This was never about saving the healthcare system from crashing, because we have saved the system from crashing. And most of us are still in these lockdowns. They lied. My North Carolina county is completely out of the woods. We had 9 cases here. Nobody died. 9 cases, 0 deaths. We're all still locked down, even though there's a full-blown medical center in my county. He said the curve here in North Carolina, the curve in 95% of the country is not just bent. It's crushed. It's decimated. It's destroyed. Let's now take this opportunity to go ahead and say the following out loud. In much of the country, there never was any real danger of overwhelming the healthcare system. The experts were wrong. It happens. Okay, it happens, he said. So I'd ask you, what is the real agenda then? To continue this lockdown and to increase the draconian rules. We know they were wrong. We know they lied to us, quite frankly. We know there was never any reason to shut down most of the country. And yet they not only maintained the shutdown, but they continued to add additional things. As a matter of fact, let's play the video clip out of North Carolina. Which number is that? Go ahead. You guys got that set up? Video clip number 4. Video clip number 4. Go ahead and play that.
Years, almost the whole time here in Raleigh. I'm not an actor, just in case you know. Just, I'm not an actor. Yep. I've been a nurse, been into the heart of it, been in ER, been in the ICU for many years. I'm here to tell you the media is lying to you.
Fauci is lying to you. Birx is lying to you.
My hospital right here in downtown Raleigh is at 60% capacity. We normally run 110. We are 700 surgeries behind. We have entire floors shut down. I literally just got another text from my supervisor. You want off tomorrow? You want off tomorrow? I don't have that many vacation days. I'm here to tell you that when you see these pictures of these nurses with their mask face on, guess what? That's nursing. That's nursing. I'm not here to tell you to make fun of it, because I'm going to tell you right now, there have been times I literally couldn't go another day. I was so tired. But guess generally what that was from? The flu. Yeah. I mean, we've had EMS bring patients in to where we couldn't have them get them off the truck. We had nowhere to put them. We had run out of room. I've had to leave on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock. When I come back to the ER 12 hours later, those people are still in the waiting room, still waiting to be seen. But guess what? Not now. You go to any hospital in Raleigh, you get seen right away. I'm here to tell you that nursing is hard, just generally. It's just hard. It's hard when you've got a sick patient. It's mentally, physically draining, emotionally draining. But
when we hear all these stories, these horror stories coming out of New York, the nurses are overwhelmed. They don't have any protective equipment. They got patients with beds and, setting up temporary beds. They had those exact same headlines in 2017. I read you the stories from the New York Post and the New York Times. Yeah, it's not any different than it's been, quite frankly. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, you just heard the nurse there in Raleigh open up. We are down to, I think she said 16%. She said usually we're running 110%. We got people that are waiting. I'll go out and we'll come back in. She says it's exhausting work. We've had situations during a regular flu season where we just worked around the clock. And yet that's not happening this time. So why do we have everything still locked down? Why is everybody closed? This is not as bad as previous times, she reported. And yet take a look at what's happening across the country. In North Carolina, again, a North Carolina small business owner, and this is right there in the same area. Apex is just right outside of Raleigh. This is a guy who had a tattoo shop in Apex, a small business owner. He opened up his business for a grand total of 10 minutes before Apex police made their way to arrest him. They said that they have deemed that his business is non-essential. That's right. Yeah, he's not Walmart. He's not Home Depot. So, sorry, you don't get to stay open. Unable to shoulder the rising cost of government-mandated business closures, Mr. Myers made the decision to open his tattoo parlor and take his chances. The gamble was a potentially costly one, reports Western Journal, resulting not only in an arrest, but the filing of formal charges as well for violation of, quote, emergency prohibitions and restrictions. Now, when did those come in? Well, you know, those are written, the guidelines for that. Again, let's talk about guidelines and recommendations. I keep hearing people say, well, you know, President Trump isn't the one who did this. This is the governors who did it. Well, let's talk about the importance of guidelines and recommendations. There were guidelines and recommendations that were written right before September 11th, 2001 for this very sort of thing. Emergency public health orders. And then immediately after September 11th, 2001, they were pushed out because, hey, it's going to be those terrorists. They're going to push anthrax everywhere. Well, it turned out that it was Fauci's organization and Birx's organization that were shipping live anthrax through the mail. Should we arrest them for terrorism or just for being boneheaded idiots who are playing with fire like a couple of toddlers about ready to burn the house down with their bioweapons gain of function research that they fund? Even when they're told not to fund it, they still do it. Let me tell you, President Trump wants my support again. He's going to take Fauci and put him over his knee like the same way I would do with a toddler in my house if I told them not to play with matches, and I keep catching him doing that. And this guy needs to be taken to the woodshed. And if not, then don't complain about how it was all Fauci's fault when the house gets burned down. And they're burning it down. And Trump is just playing the fiddle on the side like Nero. Unable to shoulder the rising costs, he opens up, and then he gets hit with these emergency prohibitions and restrictions that were part of the guidelines and recommendations from George W. Bush, the guy who's now come out to criticize President Trump. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? I said, that tells you everything. I tweeted about that over the weekend. I said, so here's this guy who, when we last heard from him, he was doing these primitive paintings, of himself, and the painting that he did while he's in a bathtub, painting his foot, laying in a bathtub, and then painting his foot. And the guy can't paint. But now he's come out of sheltering in his bathtub to tell everybody we've all got to hang together. We've all got to follow this Fauci guy, right? We've got to all be together on this. And President Trump says, unity? You wanted unity? Where were you when everybody was attacking me? Absolutely right. But we know where he was with 9/11, immediately before, immediately after, how he used that to push this agenda. It's yet another, George W. Bush's involvement in this is yet another sign that ought to set your spidey. There's the picture. That's what he's been doing for the last few years. But now he's out to tell us how to save the world. Self-imposed, safe at home, George W. Bush with all of his Secret Service guarding him and so forth. Look, it's yet another thing that ought to tell you that this is a scam when he's involved in this. A conviction would leave this small business owner, Myers, the tattoo parlor, eligible to serve a sentence of up to 60 days in jail or a fine of up to $1,000. And as Western Journal points out, you want to talk about cruel and unusual punishment, especially with a 38-year-old father of three telling the local paper he's afraid he won't be able to keep his family fed or make payments on his newly purchased home. Of course, the faceless bureaucratic state couldn't care less about that. Myers' alleged struggles to secure the unemployment aid necessary to make ends meet and an inability to secure small business relief through the federal government's recently replenished Paycheck Protection Program were an afterthought when the government demanded that Myers shut down. See, here's a guy, 38. He's got a family of 3 to support, 3 kids, plus he and his wife. He's locked down. He can't get any unemployment. He can't get a loan because that's all been scarfed up by the Wall Street companies and the big companies. All that money that was supposed to go to small businesses like him. No. The government doesn't have your back. The government is not here to protect you. How many times are we going to see this story played out over and over again? Tucker Carlson had I think it was a barber who went on and talked about how he was going to have to just open up because he doesn't have any other alternative. I mean, how are you supposed to put food on the table? And see, that's the problem. Now even people with jobs are not going to be able to put food on the table because they've broken the supply system. But let's play a little bit of that Tucker Carlson interview with a barber, video clip number 3.
So you've received a cease and desist order from the state of California. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's actually from the city of Vacaville. They came in here, the cops came in here today and gave us a cease and desist order from the city of Vacaville. And,
are you going to abide by it?
Definitely I'm not. I'm going to continue working. I'm going to continue to stay open. My barbers are going to continue to work, and they're going to continue to serve our community.
What did you think? And I'm not just saying this because CNN is another channel, but I was really struck by the pompous lecture that you received from one of their anchors yesterday, someone who will not be out of work when you are out of work. How did you feel about that?
Well, overall, she definitely had like she was somehow better than me, Tone. I think she does have a secure job. Her hair looked amazing. And I think she's not in the same boat as I am. Maybe we're all in the same storm together, but we're definitely not in the same boat. I have barbers that are living day to day doing undercover garage cuts in unsanitary locations. When we're here in California, in our shop, we have the cleanest shop in town, and we follow a lot of sanitary regulations.
Undercover garage cuts. Got to do undercover garage cuts. At the end of that, Tucker Carlson says, I wonder why people are still paying taxes. I wonder why, too. I tweeted out today a meme, no one rules if no one obeys. Maybe it's time we stop playing their games. Maybe it's time we recognize that it's time to alter or to abolish this form of government that destroys our rights and our liberties and our lives. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'm always excited about InfoWars Life products. They're amazing, they're cutting edge, you love them, I love them, and they fund the InfoWar in the face of the globalist onslaught. But we have come up with a new product over a year in development that is amazing. The only organic hand sanitizer on the market with organic essential oils on top of it. And there's another innovation, it's the spray cap. It doesn't just pour out a bunch of thick, gross goo, but it's high quality and aerosolizes it in a really great way. I like to put it on my hands, rub a little bit on my face. It's got organic alcohol in it, so don't spray it right in your eyes. But I just love it personally as something that's a moisturizer as well. So this is a real innovation. I don't know why others didn't think of coming out with a hand sanitizer that actually has essential oil in it so it doesn't dry you out, smells great. It's so refreshing. This is a big winner.